Iran's IRGC and military generally have strength in depth. It has been significantly weakened at the top, particularly with the assassination of some of the top commanders, including of the Revolutionary Guard, and of Ali Shamkhani, who was a long-term hardline advisor of the supreme leader.
Overnight, Israel's Air Force launched a major attack on Iran, which was targeting nuclear facilities in the country. Here's Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speaking shortly after the attacks began.
Today, the Jewish state refuses to be a victim of a nuclear holocaust perpetrated by the Iranian regime. Now, as Prime Minister, I've made it clear time and again, Israel will never allow those who call for our annihilation to develop the means to achieve that goal. Tonight, Israel backs those words with action.
Well, the Chief of Staff of Iran's armed forces and other senior commanders were among those killed. The US and the UK both deny that they are involved in the strikes. Joining me now is the former British ambassador to Iran, Nicholas Hopton. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Nice to be with you.
You've also been the ambassador in Yemen, Libya and Qatar. There's no one who knows the region better. Let's start with your knowledge of Iran. What will the impact be of these strikes? Twofold. One is, what will the Iranian regime's response be? And secondly, will it have any knock-on effect on their hold on power?
I think this is a big moment for the Islamic Republic to decide how to respond. They can either escalate or they might choose to make a symbolic response. Now, we're hearing reports that perhaps they have already launched 100 drones or so in retaliation, but we will have to see what that amounts to. That might amount to a symbolic response if it's no more than that. They are very aware of the fragility of the security of their own country. Their air defenses were weakened last year by Israeli strikes. And obviously after last night's strikes, the security of the country is even more fragile, with some very senior commanders having been assassinated. So I think on one level, the Islamic Republic, the supreme leader and those advising him will be conscious that this is a big moment for the regime to decide how to respond. The Iranian people, from the reports I'm seeing this morning, are reacting in different ways. So predictably, there is an outpouring of national sentiment and expressions of resilience and the need to retaliate. The Iranians are very patriotic people. At the same time, many Iranians obviously are very concerned about their families, their livelihood, their way of life, which carries on a lot of the time independent of the actions of the Islamic Republic. So this is a pivotal moment for Iranian reactions, and they will be conscious of that. And a lot might depend on how hard and for how long Prime Minister Netanyahu pursues his attacks on Iran.
Does Iran have any allies in the region or elsewhere? I mean, countries like Saudi Arabia will be quietly supporting Israel on this.
I think you've seen a reaction from Saudi Arabia already, condemning the Israeli action as illegal. And the Emirates also, who are one of the Arab states closest to Israel, have also condemned the action. So they have, of course, not sided with Iran. But what Israel does seem to have achieved through this action is distancing itself further from those Arab countries with which it was trying to build a more normal relationship.
But isn't the real story that they all have been resisting Iran's attempt to dominate the region for the last 10 or 20 years, and this will be actually very helpful to them in sort of geopolitical terms?
I think Saudi Arabia and some of the other Gulf states are in a very different position now from where they were 10 years ago at the time of the JCPOA, the first nuclear deal between the West and Iran. At that point, the Gulf countries in particular were very opposed to a deal with Iran. Now things have changed, and I think the mood, the policies in the Gulf point towards a much more stable region being the target. And to achieve that, they need a more normal relationship with Iran, even with the Islamic Republic. And that seems to be the new prioritization. So military escalation in the region is not in the Gulf's interests and will not be something that they will be keen to see at this time. I think, if I may, Ed, I think one of the real elements at the moment that we should consider is, what does this mean for the relationship between the United States and Israel, given that Prime Minister Netanyahu seems to have acted in defiance of President Trump's wish that he pursue negotiations without an Israeli strike getting in the way of that.
Yes, Donald Trump has reacted on Truth Social. I gave Iran a chance after chance to make a deal. I told them, just do it. But no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen. They're all dead now, and it will only get worse. So he keeps urging them to make a deal. Just do it before it is too late. Are the targeted assassinations very significant, Nick Hopton? Does it really significantly degrade Iran's ability to respond, or do they have leadership in depth that can just step up?
I think Iran's IRGC and military generally have strength in depth. It has been significantly weakened at the top, particularly with the assassination of some of the top commanders, including of the Revolutionary Guard, and of Ali Shamkhani, who was a long-term hardline advisor of the supreme leader. So yes, to an extent, the Iranian military are weaker today than they were yesterday. But at the same time, when it comes to working out the response, the supreme leader will be drawing on advice from a range of voices within the regime. And part of the negotiations themselves, of course, have been conducted by Abbas Araghchi, the foreign minister, who was not targeted, or certainly not killed last night, as far as we know. And I think it will be very interesting to hear, in the light of what you just said about Donald Trump's reaction, whether a next round of negotiations between the US and Iran can take place. It seems unlikely that it will happen on Sunday in Oman, as was planned now, given what's just happened. But I think from a wider international perspective, those who want to see a stable region and the Middle East become more prosperous and secure for all its people and for its neighbors, including those in Europe, such as us, I think this is a moment for cool heads, for a pause on escalation, if at all possible. And I'm glad to see the British government is working in that direction.
Nicholas Hopton, our former British ambassador to Iran, thank you for coming on the show and giving us some insight into what will be going through the minds of the Iranian regime.